on there. But before we go any further, I do want to make you aware of the fact that below the video, we do have some book resources for you. I have a link to one of my books. It's entitled When Pleasing You is Killing Me. And if you're someone who's trying to keep all these religious folks appeased, then that could be a good book for you. And then also by Laura Carranza, one of my partners, she has a book called Ugly Love, and it's about dealing with the narcissist in your life. She's been through it, and she has some very interesting stories to tell. So avail yourself to those books if you would. And then also, if you'd like to subscribe to our channel, we encourage you to do that. Now, back to our topic, you might ask, what is it about religion in particular that can bring out some of the narcissistic ingredients in a person? Now, let's keep in mind that one of the hugest characteristics of narcissism is the craving to be in control. Narcissists are people that have to be right, and they've got to make sure that things go according to their mindset, and they're not at all bashful about making other folks know that they're correct, which means you've got to comply. Well, when you think about it, as we approach religion, many people approach religion in a power kind of mindset. It's like they approach their understanding of God by saying, well, I have now found ultimate truth, and we have to make sure that everything lines up with that. And so if you disagree with them, you're not just agreeing with them. It's like, no, this is not me. This is God you're disagreeing with. And so they appoint themselves as being the spokesperson for God. And in doing so, that gives them the ultimate feeling of superiority. Now, they would never say that, because that just seems sacrilegious to say something like that. But that's really what we've got going on. It's a person attempting to play God over you. And they've kind of gotten a little bit too confused about who has which role there. And there are primary ingredients that these folks can operate with. And if I can, I'd like to run through some of them with you, because if you see some of these ingredients, you'll realize that it feeds into a narcissistic bent. As an example, when a person has very strong religious preferences and beliefs, they use a great deal of what I would refer to as binary thinking. Black, white, on, off. You're either in the club or you're not in the club. You're either right or you're wrong. And so with that binary thinking, it allows them to put conversations into a superior, inferior kind of frame of reference, which is very classic for the narcissist. And guess which end of that equation you're going to be on. If you don't line up to their religious beliefs, then certainly there's just someone's got to be labeled as wrong here, and it can't be them, so it's got to be you. And they have a couple of favorite words that they like to refer to that's part of this binary thinking. One is the word authority. The other is the word truth. You know, they speak with the authority of their religious convictions, and authority, actually, if you have good authority, that means that you're well informed and you speak from a good position, an educated position. But this authority that we're talking about could actually be a little bit more nuanced, and we could call it authoritarian. It's like, I'm the one who has the answers, you don't, so you have to listen to me. And they can come across in a very orderly and ordering kind of a way towards other individuals. And then when I say truth, it's like I have the corner of the market on all truth, and you have to go according to truth. But again, their word truth can be a euphemism for do it my way. And please don't go away from here thinking that Carter is against all sorts of truth and he doesn't believe in truth. Of course, I believe that there are some truths that we want to anchor down on. Principles, values, and standards that we want to maintain, but we can do so in a non-binary kind of way, and we can do so with a discussion that would be in mind, as opposed to a telling and a telling only. Well, this leads to a second kind of primary thought that's part of this narcissistic approach towards religion, and that is, in their mindset, they actually, again, they may not say this, but they actually operate more with the mindset that says outliers need not apply here. You'll hear some places of worship where they'll say, come and be as we are. or excuse me, come as you are, but what they mean is come and be as we are. They want to make sure that you get conformed pretty quickly, that you understand what the codes are, what the rules are, and what the expectations are. And if you don't comply pretty quickly, then that means there's something wrong with you. You don't have enough sincerity, or you don't have enough faith. I recall so well a woman that I had spoken with who was one of these outliers, and she'd been on the streets for about 10 years prostituting and doing a lot of drug use and things of a nature where it was just a very difficult life. And she came back to her family of origin, and they brought her into counseling, and one of the things that they suggested to her was that she get back to her roots inside of her church. And her comment to me was, I would not be accepted there. And I thought to myself, yeah, you're probably right, because she had so many stories, and the lifestyle practices that she had taken on were just so out of the box that even as she was trying to make adjustments, she was still back in some of that mindset in many ways. And it was very clear to me that she was going to take require some time to get to a good place, and it just wasn't going to be an overnight fit. But it's like, if I go back there, they may give me a month or 2 or 3 to kind of have my sad story. But what if I struggle with this for a period of time? And what if I start pointing out some things that I consider to be inconsistencies? And she knew it was not going to be a good kind of scenario for her at all. Which leads to another thought that's part of that narcissistic religious mindset, and that is there's a lack of curiosity regarding other kinds of thinking about separate beliefs. You know, the bottom line is there's 7 billion of us on this planet, and as I engage with my small number of people on the planet, and I find out that you don't have the same beliefs as I do, it's the height of arrogance for me to say, but you have to conform to mine. We have all sorts of cultural influences. We have family influences. I mean, people on the other side of the world, I promise they don't think the same as we do here in America. And you may be listening in another part of the world, and you may be saying, yeah, that's right. We're brought up with different kinds of influences and emphases. And the curious person says, how can I learn from you? Whereas the strongly narcissistic kind of person says, well, that's wrong, and it's my job to explain to you why that's wrong. Well, that leads to another inclination that the narcissistic religious people do, and that is they operate with easy criticism. There's a lot of must and have to and should that drives them, and then when you don't live up according to their shoulds and supposed tos, it's like, well, let me explain to you why that's no good, and you just must have a bad attitude, or you just are not willing to go along with the program here. And so there's an inability because of that to factor in somebody else's backstory. So having said all that, I'd like to throw out a few little thoughts here that would imply or that would be indicators of what a non-narcissistic religious style would consist of, and see if this would sound something that would be a better alternative. Now, it's not going to come as any shock when I say to you, if you represent a religious way of thinking, I wonder if instead of making correctness and conformity and compliance your primary focus, what if you made love your primary focus? You know, in weddings, many people have the sentences read in their weddings. Love is patient. Love is kind. It's not arrogant. It's not rude. It doesn't insist on its own way. And then in addition to that, what if you decided that you can embrace the outlier, the person that's different, rather than looking at them saying, you know, there's something defective about you? What if you looked and said, I want to know what your backstory is. I want to know who you are and how you got this way. And rather than trying to fit them real quickly into your way of being, it's like just keep me informed as to how you have come up with some of your thoughts and reasons and ideas. I like to know you more. And then that leads to another huge thing, and that is, rather than just being somebody who tells folks what to do, which is much more of a narcissistic mindset, be willing to ask questions. How can I help you? Or what would you like for me to know? Or what is it about you that seems different that you'd like for me to perhaps incorporate with you? And have that kind of mindset that says it doesn't all have to be about me, which leads to another huge adjustment. And that is, in a non-narcissistic religious mindset, embrace humility. You're not the center of the universe, and frankly, you don't have it all together either. You have some of your failings and some of your disappointments and some of the misjudgments that you've made. It may not be the same as someone else, but you've got yours. Keep that in your memory bank as you engage with these other individuals. And be honest about the fact that you need something bigger and larger and transcendent that you plug into, just as other individuals do. And so you don't want to do it with an attitude of superiority. So as we look at religion and that subject, and then tie it towards that narcissistic mindset, knowing that there's got to be a better way, I want you to just ask a couple of questions. When you approach your religious attitudes and your religious practices, do you do so with a regulatory mindset in a way that proves you to be superior over others? Or do you do so with a spirit and an attitude of love, where you begin with the thought that says, we're all in this together. I want you to know that I'm going to show goodness and kindness to you, just as I would hope you would do the same towards me in reverse. If that's the way you go, then you wind up with much better influence, and I think that's kind of what you're wanting to do as you engage with the world.
So there's so many things in what the Dr. Les has told us. I do ask you to subscribe to Surviving Narcissism. 253,000 subscribers. Dr. Les is very, very, very skilled in his field. And what he's trying to tell people is, you can't put your religious fanaticism before people. Your friendship with Jehovah isn't balanced by your rigid beliefs in what you think other people need to do around you to measure up to your religious standards to protect your relationship with Jehovah. The Lord's not intimidated by that kind of thing. When you read this sort of language, the table of demons and the table of Jehovah, it's very isolating. It's very segmenting. But Christianity in its truest form is much bigger than this. What's the point in going into the world with carts and things like that if you have to segment yourself from these encounters? These encounters are inevitable, but it doesn't mean you have to live with these people or abide with these people, but many Christians do. Circumstance causes that. So you can live your beliefs out and engage people that are of different religious orientations and things, and it's not going to affect your friendship with Jehovah, because your friendship with Jehovah is based on the finished work of the Lord Jesus Christ, not based on the things that you think you need to do or not do to make God happy or stop him from being sad. I thought Les's talk was very good. I'll put the link below. This is Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist, New South Wales, Australia. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now. Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.